Hey guys, this is a lesson on the measures of center. This is typically a middle grades concept. This is when it's usually first introduced. Some of you might have seen this before. This is specifically for the 6th grade, but this most certainly can be beneficial for the 7th and 8th because most certainly the 7th grade will use this, 8th grade possibly, and a lot of people use it in high school. Teachers use it a lot. This is a concept that's used a lot in testing, things of that nature. So you'll see this again quite often in math. So what is the mean, median, mode, and range? Well, the mean, median, and mode are what we call measures of center. That's how they measure, kind of like the average, if you will. But the mean is actually the average. Okay. Why they use the mean instead of just saying the average, I don't know. But one way that I memorize which is mean is the average, and we're going to talk about it in a second, but all the work that you do to get the average is kind of mean because it's a lot of work, okay? The median, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty easy to do. You just got to put the numbers in order from least to greatest, and you got to find the middle number. The mode is the one that occurs the most. That's probably the easiest out of all of them. You don't even have to put them in order to find the mode. You can find that pretty quickly, just looking at your data set. So we have an example, and we're going to talk about range too as well. But so here's an example. Let's say that we're going to compare Jim and Pam's last 10 quiz grades, and this is ode to The Office, of course. I love The Office. So let's say that Jim and Pam were students way back when, and they had some quiz grades. And the last 10 quiz grades that they had were these quiz grades. And we wanted to know how to compare them. How do we compare their grades? How do we calculate their overall quiz average? Well, first, if you're being asked what is the mean or what is the average, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add them up and then divide by how many grades that you've added. So, for example, Jim has all these grades here and Pam has all these grades here. So what we need to do is we need to add them up and divide by 10 for each of them. Okay? So what I'm going to do for Jim and Pam, what we're going to do is we're going to actually put them in order from least to greatest first, since we're going to figure out what the mean, the median, and mode and range of both students here. Okay, so Jim's grades are from least to greatest. The smallest he has is 50. Then it goes to 55. The next biggest one, I don't see a 60, 65, 70. Okay, we only have 170. 75. I don't think we have another 75. 80, do we have an 80? 80. And then we have an 85 and an 85. So we got an 80, 85, 85. Okay. Okay, do we have a 90? We've got a 90. Any other 90s? We got two 90s here. And then 100. Okay, we've got 100 here. Okay. I think I've got them all, but just to make sure, we need to count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 10 grades. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with Pam's grades. Okay, the lowest grade she has is a 60. Okay, does she have a 65? No. 70? No. 75. 80, 180. 85, no 85s. 90, we've got 190. 95, 1, 2, 295s. Okay, and 100, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 100s. Okay. So she did pretty good on her quizzes. She did a lot better than obviously than Jim has. But still, that's one way you can kind of compare by just looking at it like this. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do the let's do the median mode, and we'll do the range first before we do the mean. The mean is a little bit harder to do. So the median is going to be your middle number. Okay. So if you think about it, the median, if you've driven, I don't think anybody here has driven. If you're in the 6th grade, it's possible. I mean, you might live on a farm or something like that, but most of us, being in the 6th grade, don't drive. But if you've ridden, obviously, in a car, you notice that typically you've got cars going this way, cars going this way on a highway or just a standard, typically like a 2 or 4 lane road. Typically in the middle, you have what we call the median, right? It's got grass in there. Grass, bushes, whatnot, flowers. Okay, that's called the median. So the median is a term that we use for the middle. Okay, so the median here is, once you put these grades in from least to greatest, what we got to do is find the middle number. Now you've got 10 numbers. So if you go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the median here for Pam is going to be right here in the middle. So the question is, what's between 95 and 95? Well, the median in this case is going to be 95. There's nothing in between 95 and 95. It's just 95. Now for Jim, it's going to be a little different. He's got 5 here, 5 here. So in the middle, it's going to be right here for Jim. Now, for him, it's a little different. So what's between 80 and 85? Well, one way you can figure that out is you could add them together and then divide by 2 to find the middle number. For me, I just think of it in terms of money, like $80 and $85. What's between $80 and $85? Well, it's going to be $82.50. Okay, $82.50 or 82.5. Okay, so that's the median. The mode is the one that occurs the most. Okay, mode most. Mode most. So the mode is going to be different for both. Here, the one that occurs the most, well, we've got kind of like a two-way tie for Jim. We've got one here, and we've got one here. So the mode for Jim is 85 and 90. Now, if 90 occurred one more time, then the mode would be 90, not 85. You would not count 85, even if it occurs twice. The only reason why we're counting both of them, is because it's a two-way tie. If you have ties, right, you have to count both of them. Now for Pam, she's got 95 twice here as well, but she has 4 100s. So the 100 is going to beat that 95 clear out of the water. So her mode is 100. Okay. So we got left is the range. The range is the difference between the smallest and greatest number in your data set. Your data set is what's there, right? It's what's located for Pam. So if you look at Pam's grades, she has the smallest is 60. The largest is 100. So the range is going to be the difference between the largest and the smallest number. So 100 minus 60, the range is 40. So for her, the range is 40. Now for him, the lowest is 50 and the highest is 100. So the range for him is going to be 100 minus 50, which equals 50. And that's going to be his range. I'll put that on top here. So you got two different ranges. Jim's range is actually a little bit larger, a little bit further of a gap than Pam's, which makes sense. Her lowest grade is a 60. So she didn't go all the way down to a 50. He did. Okay. Now let's say he didn't have that 100 here, then the range in this case then would be 40 for him. Then they would have the same range. But because he has the 100, obviously it goes up 10 more. So that's the median, mode, and range. Let's talk about the mean. Now the mean, again, it gets its name, in my opinion anyways, and you know, I've heard this elsewhere. The mean gets its name because it's mean to do all that work. There's a lot of work for the mean. And so what you do is basically you add them all up and you divide by 10 for each for Jim, and then do the same thing for Pam. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to add them up. So 90 plus 1, so I'm going to add them, I'm going to try to add them in my head as much as I can. All right. So we've got these two, so that's 170. 170 plus 50 is 220. 220 plus 100 is 320. 320 plus 85. 320 plus 85 is 405. 405 plus 90 is 495. 495 plus 70 is 565. 565, and this is where I start breaking down because I can't add much more than that. So I'm going to have to just add the last couple together like that. Okay. So that's going to be 20, 14, 16, 23, 28, 2, 7. Then I take 780 and I divide that by 10 because there's 10 grades, 10 numbers that I've added. If I added 9 grades, I would divide that number by 9 if I had added 9 grades. But again, 10 grades here, so we divide by 10. 780 divided by 10 is going to be 78. Okay? Ooh. So let's see. All right, so it's 78. 78 for Jim's grades. Okay, Pam's grades, do the same thing. We're going to add them together. So we get 190, 290, 290 plus 80 is 370, 370 plus 95, plus, I'm going to say this is 295, these three combined. 295, and then 135 for those two. All right, so that's going to add up for Pam's grades. So we add this all up. 16, 17. 17 plus 9 is 26, 29. 5, 6, 7, 8. So we divide 895 by 10 because we've got 10 grades. And we get 89.5. Okay. So his mean average for Jim is 78. So he's got a C. And for Pam, her average or her mean is 89.5. So she's barely, almost got an A. She's just a little bit less than the A. It's a strong B, 89.5. And so that's it. So that's the mean of the data set. So hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully this is helpful. Mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, mean, median, mode, or measures the center. Range is just the difference between the largest and smallest number in the data set. I hope this is helpful. God bless, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.